Dear viewers, Ali Khamenei, the religious leader of Iran, a country which is supposedly an Islamic state, is the only representative Mahdi on earth who has been waiting for 1,200 years for the day when he will fill the earth. Justice Khamenei and the Iranian state accuse other countries of collusion with the Jews, Zionists, who today and throughout history have colluded with the Jews. Divisive regime to power and their cooperation. Today, the 2s on the millennia-old friendship between Persians and Jews since 722 BC. The Assyrian Empire oppresses in Palestine destroyed the Temple of Solomon's Temple and exiled the Jews to Babylon. The Persian Emperor Cyrus gave him. Jews will never forget the king of Persia. Invaded Babylon in 538 BC, brought the Jews back to Palestine and rebuilt their temples. For the Jews, Cyrus is such an important figure that many of them even call him as the Messiah. Imagine that in 1917, when the British announced the creation of the State of Israel in Palestine, with the help of declaration Zionist leaders with the kindness of Cyrus, even Gary Truman left his post as head of the United States in 1953, called himself the Great Cyrus, because he helped create the State of Israel in 164 AD. The Persians again, to help the Jews, who were under attack from musical note by the Romans in AD musical note ease in Iranian lands during the Sassanid War with Byzantium in 2628 AD. The Jews aided the Persians in their revolt against Byzantium, and about 20,000 Jews joined the Persian army, were the warriors about whom the ayats were sent. Ayats at the beginning of the famous Surah Ara. Prophet Muhammad Pbuh Allah and his companions wanted the Byzantines, who were men of letters, to defeat the Sassanids, who were polytheists, of Mecca, and the Jews of Medina longed for a Sassanid victory. Of the Sassanids, with the rise of the Islamic Caliphate, the common woes of Jews and Persians, so during the reign of Caliph Omar, may Allah be pleased with him, in 644, the Sasanian Empire was destroyed, and during the reign of Uthman, it completely collapsed and the Jews were expelled from Jazi. Jerusalem was in the hands of the Muslims to the Jews and Persians, who had been open allies for just 10 to 15 years before these events. A new age of secret and insidious union, an era of change and division. Islam from within. Many of the Zoroastrian Persians either fled to India or concealed their religion by living in Islamic countries. About 4 Persians converted to Islam and settled in Kafia, which later became the center of Shi'ism. The historical opportunity for them was a dispute between companions during the time of Caliph Ali. May Allah be pleased with him. Their Jewish brothers came to their aid again. A Jew named Abdallah ibn Saba founded a sect who deified them as being his. That's how the later Hussein ibn Ali, may Allah be pleased with him, Allah married the daughter of the Persian Padishah Yeger, thereby softening his position. We'll see that almost all of them were men of Persian origin. Laini Sheikh Sak, Abu Jafar Atu Faiz al-Kasha Majlisi, Nuri Tabar Kura Ramili Nematullah Jazari, Ali ibn Ibrahim al-Ku Sheikh Ta Barsi. Is it a coincidence that the scientific basis and Mamil is Persian, and that the imamate also comes from the Shar generation, as well as Gerda? Is a coincidence or an insidious plan that even a Turk like Khamenei, because of this belief, serves? The idea of Sassanid religion puts Persian interests above all else. Another religion that unites Jews and Persians is the belief in the Mahdi. According to Zoroastrianism, belief in a Mithra who was the earthly representative of the god of goodness and possessed divine powers gradually began to find its reflected in the belief in a fictitious Mahdi on the other side of the hadith about the Mahdi's appearance, and that he would judge with the judgment of the Dad, that he would unite with the Jews and fight against the Muslims. To fight against the Muslims began to fill Shiite books of hadith written by Persians. Another interesting issue is the news that the Prophet Pbuh blessings reported about Dajjal will appear in Iran and his supporters will be 70,000 Persian Jews. Iran, which today accuses neighboring countries of collaborating with the Zionists, forgets that more than 50,000 Jews live in Khorasan, where the largest synagogues in the world synagogues. Thus in Iran, a new faith was formed which contradicted the basic principles of Islam and pursued the interests of the Jews and Persians. History also shows that states practicing this only fought against Sunni Muslim states, the Fatimids, the Bouvet Safavids, the Safavids, and Iran. These are the very states that have been carrying the false faith for centuries, have weakened the Near and Middle East, Azerbaijan and Central Asia, and turned them into a bloody mess. Their main struggle was against the Mongol and Uzbek Sunni Turkic states in the east and against the Ottoman Empire in the west. They turned the north, Azerbaijan, and the south of the Arab Islamic into hotspots. They contributed to the division of the Turkic Islamic world into two parts and the whole, the Islamic world, into four. Their main allies have always been non-Muslims in the Western Shni. The states they've been at war with are Pakistan and Turkey, who supported Azerbaijan, and Khamenei became angry and accused Azerbaijan of Zionism. Repeats itself. Let us now look at the connection between the Mul regime and Zionist revolution. In 1979, the Persian government of Posi, led by Nissan and Henry Kenji, according to the Jewish David Runner's theory of control of Arab countries, Israel and Iran cooperated closely with each other, even during the Arab-Israeli conflict. During the oil embargo imposed on Israel, Iran sold oil to Israel until 1970. Half of America's weapons went to Iran. Sawa Central Intelligence Agency. Iran's Central Intelligence Agency was controlled by the Masum, but suddenly the sun supposedly changed. A revolution took place and a sectarian organization. Nothing had changed. A new game was beginning that would to suck the blood of the Islamic world. The Soviet government supported Iran in overthrowing the regime of he who was a ferryman. America was a communist who supported Soviet communism in the form. It was the CIA and the Mossad who started cooperating with Iran. Robert Dreyfus, in his book Khomeini's Hostage, states that since 1963 Khomeini was a member of the Iranian Freemasons and received a monthly stipend from British agents, was already preparing to become a religious leader. At the same time, Khomeini began vigorous protests against the Shah, and during his exile in Iraq and during his stay in France, secret ties with the U.S. Carter administration. In 1978, Zbigniew Brzezinski, members of the Bilderberg organization such as George Ball began directing American policy toward Iran, and George Ball demanded the U.S. government to support Khomeini. Revolutions and other economic crises. Sawa, allied with the masses, began to oppress the people and aroused intense hatred for the Shah. In 1979, The Shah of Iran was brought to America for medical treatment in America and was not allowed to return the same year Khomeini arrived in Iran on a French airplane, on a French airline plane protected by the British and French intelligence services. Imagine the Sawa Central Intelligence Directorate under the Shah's leadership did nothing. Khomeini began to form a new government in a form that suited him, in a form convenient to him. Western spies and Jews showed their support for Khomeini by supposedly joining him for the First Friday. Mossad agent Yitzhak Sej prevented an assassination attempt on Khomeini. Later, there was an attack on the American embassy was attacked. Documents have been discovered that show the cooperation of the official Khomeini government spokesman Amir Zama's official representative with U.S. intelligence agencies. Amir said that all of this had been ordered by Khomeini. Amir Zama's fate was sealed. So his trail disappeared from the political arena later on. The first reason for the establishment of Khomeini's government was the involvement in the Iran-Iraq War. The year Israel and Khomeini's government signed an act of cooperation against the growing and strengthening Iraq Muslim state at the same time, Iraq's under-construction nuclear facilities, Iraq, were attacked by Israeli planes at coordinates provided by Iran. The articles you see on the screen contain evidence of Israel selling billions of dollars worth of weapons to Iran. Billions of dollars both during the Iran-Iraq War and later, as well as Zionist investment in Iran to this day. To this day these weapons are still being used, directly or indirectly, against Muslims in the wars in Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Yemen, and Karabakh. It is Iran that allows America to enter Iraq and Afghanistan, Russia into Syria, Israel into Palestine and Lebanon, and the Armenians into Lebanon. Karabakh supports the Buddhist issue, and Iran does not, denies it. Besides, the Zionists have no closer ally than Iran in to create a base for the massacre Muslims by constantly of bloody sectarian clashes in the Islamic world. The transportation hub that poisons the Islamic world with drugs also passes through Iran. Terrorist organizations such like Hezbollah, PKK, Shah-Shabi, and the Houthis are funded by the dirty profits from this traffic. The Mole regime is making money from betraying the Islamic world, and their children spend the dirty money earned at the cost of the blood of oppressed of Muslims in the West. At the end of the video we declare that according to Islam, our only God is Allah. The only person from whom we take our religion from is the Prophet Muhammad, and Allah's blessings upon him. May Allah Almighty protect Muslims from the evil of the Iranian regime and their evil, and unite all Muslims.